And hello, welcome to our Toronto. The new TTC Flexity Streetcars operated by Toronto's Transit Commission are supposed to be the most cost efficient to operate, with their high capacity, single driver, and fully electric operations. But the TTC's Flexity Streetcars lose more money than any other vehicles in the fleet, so why is this? Well, as it turns out, these are long, with a high capacity that serves stops with large volumes of people that got on and off these vehicles. This makes it a lot easier for people to fare dodge than any other ones. I'm not sure how reliable these numbers are because they seem to vary depending on who you talk to, but according to the TTC's own estimation, there's an overall Fairvation of 5.7%. However, on the streetcar network, this number jumps to over 3 times the amount, to 16%. It's not hard to understand how this happens, as these Flexity streetcars are very long, have a lot of doors, and at several stops, many people will enter using all the doors. This makes it very hard for the driver alone to be able to do anything about this, just because of the amount of people getting onto the streetcar, in addition to the fact that they are busy trying to operate it. What is also probably going on here is that people would normally be walking a few blocks just hop onto the streetcar for a few stops and then just get off. So how much does the TTC estimate this costs? They say that the lost revenue amounts to a total of about $70 million each year. Therefore, the TTC has since March redeployed half of its fare inspectors on the streetcars to help curb this. They estimate that this will bring in an additional $6 million a year. So is this the right approach? I would agree on the principle that it's only fair to ask everyone that rides and uses the TTC to pay for their trip. But on the other hand, the TTC is cutting services while they're losing $74 million a year to rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft. The TTC costs a total of $2.4 billion to operate. And that's at least what they list on their website for 2022. So this estimated $70 million to Fairvation represents a total of less than 3% of its total operating costs. This also means that the overall 95% of riders paid their fares on the system. While I understand that this is unequivocal and does not make it right to fare dodge, this is in the shadow of the problems that the Eglinton LRT and Scarborough RT are currently facing. I'm not convinced that this isn't a bit of a tilt to the windmill, and I have to admit, it does not bother me so much if people are hopping onto streetcars downtown to hitch a free ride for a few stops. I always pay for my fare when I ride the TTC. I have never fare dodged, and I wouldn't even mind paying more for it. There was this one time after a long walk on a summer day that I didn't want to hike up a steep hill on Don Mills going north on York Mills. I didn't even bring any money or a Presto card with me because I did not plan on taking transit. So I went to the 25 Don Mills stop. It was there in 2 minutes. I got on and asked the bus driver if it's okay if I just get on for a couple of stops to get to the top of the hill, and he said yes. There were a fair amount of people on the bus, but I didn't get any weird looks or frowns from anyone, but instead felt welcomed on board. Now, in fairness, it is different on the streetcar because it's not that easy to talk to the driver and ask them, and neither do I think that anyone should stop to bother them. I have friends that are TTC bus drivers and have taken trips with them while they were working. This is anecdotal, of course, but they can tell very quickly whether someone is trying to evade the fare or just needs a helping hand. That's the kind of TTC that I would like to have, and I'm thankful that that is the culture of the TTC, and I would not want that to change. The point here is that while it makes sense to deploy most of the fare inspectors' resources onto the streetcars downtown, it is also clear to see why this is such a controversial topic. I understand that it can't be a policy to allow people to not pay their fares. But here's the question. Where do you stand on the fact that the TTC loses about 3% of their operating costs when about 50% of it is subsidized by the government? Do you think that this is worth pursuing?